Welcome to the group today. Just a friendly reminder that for the first portion of this group, we're going to be recording the slides. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to put them down in the chat box, and then we can have our discussion portion afterwards. Today, we're going to be discussing the mental load of motherhood. This group today is based on a really short article that I found, and I'll be sharing the link to the article as well. It's a quick read, but I know for some moms like myself, I prefer learning the information in a different format and hearing about it, and discussion afterwards can help too. So if you are watching the recording of this video, having a friend or another mom that could watch it with you or discuss it with you afterwards would be a great idea as well. I know for me, when I read the article, something just clicked. It was a concept that I sort of kind of heard before, about this whole mental load of motherhood, but it was something that I hadn't had written out and I hadn't had actually seen some examples of. And I felt like it was just something that I felt a sense of relief after I read it, because it made sense of some stuff that was going on in my life. I myself have two young children that are 3 and 5 years old, so the mental load of motherhood is a heavy one right now. This group is mainly for mothers who are living with a partner or alternate caregiver. And while we're on that topic, I just want to really acknowledge even just the privilege of living in a two-parent home, or beyond that, living in a home where there's multiple caregivers for a child. I know that not everyone has that privilege, but it's nice to even have the option to have someone else sharing the load of parenthood and managing a household. So this group is looking more at those homes where there are other people who should be contributing to the household and should be contributing to this invisible work that we have as mothers often. So what is the mental load? So it's a term that's used for the invisible labor involved in managing a household and family. This mental load typically falls on women's shoulders, and I think that there's actual studies proving that it's usually mom who takes on this. It's not about physical tasks, but about overseeing those tasks. So it's about being in charge of a never-ending to-do list, remembering what needs to get done, and trying to delegate those tasks to family members, and then making sure they actually get done. A study published by the American Sociological Review describes it as the responsibility of anticipating needs, identifying options for filling them, making decisions, and monitoring progress. So again, I want to jump back to this idea of it's not the physical task itself, but it's about overseeing all the tasks. It's about thinking in your brain all the different things that you need to do. Myself as a working mom, I've got all the mental load of everything that's going on with work, plus all the mental load of everything that's going on at home. And the balance of the two can often feel physically and mentally exhausting. This is a bit of a longer clip, but I just thought it was hilarious. I don't know if it's meant to be funny, but it's someone put out a real job ad for motherhood, but not telling the applicants that this is what they were applying for. I don't want to watch the whole thing, but I thought it would be really cute to share a portion of this. If you want, you can look it up on YouTube as well, but I just, it hit a little close to home, so I thought it'd be nice to share.
Just give me 1 second.
Sure.
Sorry. Hey. Hi. 2 minutes. Thank you. Good afternoon. Sorry about that.
Oi. Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Have you ever done one of these interviews over the camera before?
No.
Let me tell you a little bit about the job to get started with. It's not just a job. It's sort of probably the most important job. The title that we have going right now is Director of Operations, but it's really kind of so much more than that. Responsibilities and requirements are really quite extensive. First category for the requirements would be mobility. This job requires that you must be able to work standing up most or really all of the time, constantly on your feet, constantly bending over, constantly exerting yourself, a high level of stamina. Okay.
That's a lot. For how many hours?
135 hours to unlimited hours a week. It's basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I'm sure you'll have a chance from time to time to maybe just sit down here and there, yeah?
You mean like a break?
Yeah.
No, there are no breaks available.
Is that even legal?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like no lunch.
You can have
or-
lunch, but only when the associate is done eating their lunch.
I think that's a little intense.
No,
Not
that's
possible.
crazy.
Now, this position requires excellent negotiation and interpersonal skill. We're really looking for someone that might have a degree in medicine, in finance, and the culinary arts. You must be able to wear several hats. Associate needs constant attention. Sometimes they have to stay up with an associate throughout the night. Being able to work in a chaotic environment, if you had a life, we'd ask you to sort of give that life up. No vacations. In fact, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and holidays, the workload is going to go up, and we demand that with a happy disposition.
That's almost cruel. That's almost a very, very sick, twisted joke.
But when there's time.
I'm going to leave the video there because it is about 7 minutes, so I don't want to get too far into it. But I love how he keeps calling your child the associate. I think if it's not this one, I've watched some other ones that are similar. I think it might be this one where they talk about the pay, and at the end they say that there's zero pay. And I don't think I've ever thought about motherhood as being a job, like a paid job in that way. But when you listen to him talk and doing it quite seriously, I don't know how he keeps a straight face. You think, oh yeah, that's all the things that I do as a mother. And so in my family, we refer to me as the family manager. I like hear how they say director of operations, whatever you want to call it. I know that since I took on the title of family manager, it actually, I mean, it was meant to be a joke, but it actually made me feel better that at least it was being acknowledged by my partner, that there was this role that I was taking on that was taking a huge, that was a huge mental load that he wasn't taking part in, or as much as I would have liked him to. So how does the mental load actually affect women? It's particularly exhausting labor that's distinct from tangible labor, like tasks that are right in front of you. In addition to taking up one's energy, it's work that's often taken for granted. So it becomes work that goes unacknowledged. And like I said a second ago, for me, even just that the work was acknowledged, my husband works very long hours and travels a lot for work. And so a lot of the mental load is stuff that I have to take on for our family just because it needs to get done and he simply can't do it. So for me, it's not so much the work itself, it's the acknowledgement that it's being done and the amount of time that that takes. So although in recent years, they've shown an increase in partners, husbands, and even children doing more of the actual physical household work, women are still taking on the vast majority of the mental burden of the household. For example, others may help wash and fold the laundry, but women are still in the background organizing the whole thing. They're there making sure you have enough detergent, dryer sheets, making sure that the folded laundry gets put away properly, looking through children's clothes to make sure that they have all the clothes that they need, organizing it, you know, if there's soccer uniforms or school uniforms or whatever that might be, making sure that that is getting washed at a certain time so that it's ready for the next day or that day. So the mental side of something as simple as doing laundry is usually what women in the household are taking on. One study found that the mental load often puts a strain on mom's well-being and can lead to lower marital satisfaction. In one poll, 9 out of 10 mothers felt that they were solely responsible for managing the family's schedule and that the burden left them feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, and unable to make space for self-care. I know people might be watching the video version of this in the future, and so it might date the video, but as we're just coming into a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years of being in quarantine and dealing with COVID, I've spoken to many moms through work and through personal friends and whomever, and what they found was that even though for a lot of months people were stuck at home, they found that mental load increased dramatically. And I think one of the things that was added to that plate was worrying about the safety of ourselves, our family, our children. So managing all of that with the fear of not knowing what was going on was huge for moms over this past while. I actually took this whole thing right from the article, because it was one of those things. Sometimes we take articles and we take research studies and we take books and we help summarize them into a shorter group for families that would prefer to listen to the material. But I can admit when someone else can say it a whole lot better than I can. So I actually just felt this part was really important to just read. So I'm going to read it out loud. One of the clearest demonstrations of the mental load is when a woman's partner frequently tells her in relation to getting dinner ready or getting the kids cleaned up or any aspect of the household chores, let me know if you need any help. Or after a woman opens up about how tired she is or breaks down under the weight of all the household work she's been managing, her partner says something like, you should have asked, I would have helped you. When a man expects his partner to ask him to do things, he's viewing her as the manager of the household chores. So it's up to her to know what needs to be done and when. The artist Emma explains in a viral comic explaining the mental load. What our partners are really saying when they ask us to tell them what needs to be done is that they refuse to take on their share of the mental load. Women don't just need help accomplishing each and every chore around the house, they also need relief from being the one in charge of knowing what needs to get done and from the responsibility of making sure you're doing your part. Organizing and planning are full-time jobs that people get paid to do. Have you ever heard of a project manager? Simply expecting women to take on this role in addition to half of the physical chores means that in reality, they're taking on way more than half of the household work. Invisible labor is still labor. And just at the bottom there is the link to the article where most of the stuff from this group was taken. But I just want to point out, after having read that quite quickly, hopefully you can read along, I know for me that this is really triggering when someone says after the fact, oh, I could have helped you. Sometimes I pick up my kids' toys and my daughter says, oh, why didn't you tell me I would have helped you? And I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to have to tell you. It's your toys, it's your messy room. Now with children, maybe not as much of an expectation, but with my partner, when we talk about me getting a day off or some self-care time, which does not happen very often, if I'm lucky once a month, but one of the things I say is that the thing that I want the most is a mental break from having to do the invisible chores. And so it might mean that in the morning, if he packs up a backpack to take the kids out for the day, I actually say to him, I don't want to pack the backpack for you. There's probably a lot of other moms out there saying, oh yeah, I do that. And I did that for a long time. But when I actually needed a break, when I really do need a break, to me, the break I need the most is from the mental stuff. And so as we'll talk about it in a second, how to divvy up those chores, sometimes I say to him, these are your things. Everything to do with school or daycare is your thing. But when I have that one day, it's literally one day where I don't want to have to think about appointments or laundry or this or that. I still get those things accomplished, but it's more the mental load that I need a break from. And I would say for me, at minimum, I just need once a month, one day a month where I'm not thinking about all that stuff. And sorry, just to clarify, sometimes we do go out as a family. It's not about me not being with the kids or my husband. It's about me not having to think about what comes next. I'm not planning the day. I'm not packing the diapers. Everything is over to my husband. So I just get one full day break from it all. So how to explain it, how to explain the concept of the mental load to your partner. So the really obvious one is to share the article that I took the concept from, sharing this video, sharing the slideshow, anything like that, where they can have someone else explain it to them. I know for me, I don't remember if it was this exact article, but that was one of the first steps in the conversation I had with my husband, was sharing an article about this concept of this invisible load. And that was the first time I think he actually listened. I don't think he wanted to hear it from me. Offering concrete examples of what the mental load looks like or feels like in your life. So planning trips, doctor's appointment, delegating chores, groceries, schedule planning and event reminders. Also explaining that you want to share the management, not just the chores themselves. So really distinguishing between the two. You shouldn't have to remind your partner about the thing that they've chosen to take on. And clinical psychologist Lena Pearl Saidi recommends saying it like this: I feel uncomfortable delegating activities. It's a big job to be a manager. I'd rather we look at what needs to be done and decide together how to divide it up. Then I won't feel like I'm nagging everyone all the time. And I really liked that because that is how it feels. It feels like nagging. Did you do this? Can you take out the garbage? Can you do that? Can you do that? So one of the things with my partner that we've decided is that if it's his task, I don't micromanage the task, and I don't ask him to do the task. It's something that he takes on, and on his end, the agreement I have to make is that I have to allow him to do it in his own time, unless for some reason it's time sensitive. In the summertime, taking out the garbage needs to be done every day, otherwise it starts to smell quite badly. So emphasizing that it isn't just you worrying too much. I do get in this argument with my partner a lot where he says, don't stress about it, don't worry. I'm like, I'm not stressing, I'm not worrying. It's just planning that needs to get done. There's things around the house that just need to get done. And if a woman is constantly worrying about these tasks, it's because she recognizes that the tasks are not going to get done if she doesn't do them. So the worrying comes from who's going to do it if I don't do it. So how to actually share the mental load, you want to talk about it, have a full sit down conversation or a family meeting. That's what I call it in my family. And I know lots of other families that do that too. And obviously with a 3 and 5-year-old, family meeting doesn't usually include them. But it's something that a term that I like to use so that you get in the habit of when your children get older that they participate in those family meetings. And then you have a conversation about what the mental load is and how it's affecting you. I think that's really important to talk about how much it might be depleting you. Include planning and management tasks where you divide up the housework. So it's not just the household chores. It's not just doing the laundry. It's making sure you have everything you need to do the laundry. It's not just going grocery shopping, but making sure that whoever takes on the task of groceries knows that they have to go around the house and check what they do and don't have. Ask questions, ask the kids if they need anything, ask your partner if they need anything. Relinquishing control. This one's a hard one for me, but sometimes women fall into gatekeeping of household tasks, which might include monitoring, criticizing, or correcting the way your partner's doing their chores. And this may actually discourage them from fully engaging. So you need to trust your partner to get those tasks done. And if they see that you're trusting them, I think that they're more likely to do it. And then to keep checking in. You're not going to figure it out in one conversation. I know for me and my family, it's taken 1-2 years of this conversation and checking back in. And learning to share the mental load is going to take time. It's going to take lots of conversations, lots of adjustments, and it's going to take some flexibility as well. It might be that one person has one task and then you realize it just doesn't make sense for that person to keep it for a certain amount of time. Or if there's something that my husband just signed my daughter up for soccer and that was going to be his task, that he was going to do all the mental load, all the sign up, all the jerseys, the cleats, everything. And then what we realized was a lot of the times that she actually had to go to practice was when he would be working. And so we decided to swap and he took on a task of mine so that I could take on that task that he was originally going to do. That's it. It was a very short article and it's a very short group. What I will say is that our early years parenting support program offers support for parents and caregivers who have children under the age of 6 or that they're expecting. And so we're happy to have continued conversations with moms, dads, whoever, caregivers about this topic or really anything related to parenting. So if you're interested in getting more support or learning more about this topic or something else, please feel free to give our admin desk an email. The email address is up there, admin@camry.ca, or you can email the program directly at pspgroupsignup@camry.ca, or you can give us a call at 604-436-9449, and you can speak to someone who might be able to point you in the right direction of where you could grab some extra support, and you can check out our website as well. Thanks so much for joining us today.